You're not going to want to miss this episode of the AI Show where we talk all about the Azure AI Translator API public preview, all the goodness with Krishna. Make sure you tune in. Hello, welcome to this episode of the AI Show where we're talking all about the new Azure AI Translator API in public preview with my friend Krishna. Krishna, it's been a while, bud. How you been?
Yeah, doing good. It's been many years that we met.
I know, and we've done an episode on the AI Show many years ago. Turns out people still need translation. So tell us about what's new, what's going on.
Yes, you are right. So it's very important to have translation to break the language barrier across the globe.
Mm-hmm.
And we have several interesting stuff coming up with the new API. And what we realized over the several years is the enterprise and organization has a very diverse use case needs like conversation translation, web page translation, document translation, localization, etc. Each scenario has a different business criticalities, functional and non-functional requirements. However, on the technology front, there's an advancement with generative AI LLMs, which produce more natural and fluent translations and diverse translation based on the specific instructions what they use. But often it requires a lot of more time to generate the translation. However, the classic neuroMT models produce more deterministic and but single translation at much lower latency and which is better suited for the real-time translation scenarios. So what we are bringing these two technologies together in a single API that gives a customer to choose multiple AI models at the request level to address the diverse needs. Not only that, this also enables us to innovate further and introduce new functionalities like tone translation, gender translation, as well as do a advancement in customization by bringing in adaptive custom translation by which user need not fine tune a model, but at the same time they can just bring the translation memory and use that as a reference data and produce customized translation.
So hold on. So I came at this thinking this was like text translation, but is this also voice translation as well?
Uh, be it text, document, or voice, all this uses the translation technology behind the scene.
I see. I see. So effectively what's coming in is voice or text and documents, and then out is coming the translated stuff. Can you tell me the modalities that you can do?
So the API produces a modality of text only.
Okay.
So a solution what is built on top of this API is the one which takes the voice as an input and the speech translation integrates this text translation API and produces it. And we also have a document translation which takes document as an input and uses this technology behind the scene and produces a translated document.
So I'm looking at this tone translation. So you're saying, tell me what this means. Is it like hearing the tone in the voice, and then what does that actually mean?
Oh, so this is how so if you're writing a letter, so you can write a letter in a formal tone when you want to address to officially in your workspace, work scenario, but at the same time, you want to communicate the same message informally to a friend or in a common setting, then use informal tone. So you can communicate the same content in different tone in international languages based on the audience.
Oh, I see. Because, like, for example, I know that in certain Asian languages, there's a very formal tone, and then there's like a medium tone, right? The term is called diglossia. If you've ever heard of, because I love linguistics, and so you're saying that it can actually, when the translation happens, it can change the actual tone from high to low to business to whatever.
Absolutely, that's
Oh
what
my
this.
gosh.
That's the magic this does.
That's really cool. Okay, I was like having a little brain little. I didn't understand. So, how many languages can you do this in?
Oh, we support 135 languages to translate across all of them, and the new capability of Gen AI we support currently in 54 languages, and our team is working on to add more and more.
So you're talking. One of the things that I heard from you is that there's still the neural machine translation, which is the standard machine learning. But you also mentioned that it's also doing large language model stuff too. Can you explain that?
Yes. So this is the new translator service. Okay, the translator service can do a translation either using a classic neural machine translation models, or it can use a generative AI model. Currently, in the preview, we support GPT-4o and GPT-4o Mini, and we have a path to add more. And to get the goodness of tone translation, gender translation, adaptive customization, that's where you use the generative AI models.
I see. So okay. So let's see if I understand this. So you can choose between which model that you actually use when you're doing the translation. Is that
Yes,
what I'm understanding, or does it do
ex-
something automatically?
exactly. That's the one. So it will become more clear when I show it to you in action.
Well, let's do that. Let's take a look at what you've got, so that maybe we can get a sense for how this works. What do you think?
Absolutely.
All right, let's do it.
What you see here is the request body of the API. Okay. And here is the request. And here we are translating a text in from English language to a target language, Spanish. And in this request, you could see it's getting translated using a generative AI model 4.0 mini, as well as here, no model is specified by which we default take the classic NMT.
Okay, so let's pause right here. So this is effectively like a API caller. This Bruno app is just basically it calls APIs, and this is calling the translator API directly, and this is the body of the request. Is that right?
Yes.
Okay, cool. Yeah, I just want to make sure I knew what I was saying. And then you're saying that when you do the translation, you can do multiple targets.
Yes, you can do
Okay,
multiple targets, and you can specify for each target what model to use, all in a single request.
I see. And then I guess ostensibly on the right hand side is the translation.
Right hand side is the translation response. Here is the response from the generative AI photo mini, and here is the translation from the NMT classic NMT model. And so, how many tokens consumed for to do this translation? How many characters charged for NMT? It's all very transparently shown to the user.
Ah, that's cool. And I'm looking at it because I know Spanish, and the meaning is the same, but they're slightly different. But not. It's almost like saying potato kind of thing, which is kind of cool.
That's true. So that's why if you see in terms of translation accuracy for popular languages like Spanish, German, Italian, so and so, you'll find very minimal changes. But the key thing is the GPT models produces a more fluent translation
Yes.
than the classic NMT. And
Yeah, like the
NMT is
word.
more of a formal tone kind of thing.
Yeah, like the word potencia muchos productos y servicios de Microsoft is feels more. I don't know. It has more of a good feel to it. The other one,
Mhm.
it's not that it doesn't have a good feel to it, but it feels more less vernacular ish, which is kind of
Mhm.
cool.
Right. And
All
the
right, what
next
else you
thing
got?
what I want to show you is how to produce a gender translation. So uh, if you want to translate a simple word like doctor, the doctor is a gender neutral term in English, but when you translate into Spanish, it has a very specific term based on a male or a female doctor. And by default, when you produce with classic NMT, it produces whichever is the popular, and sometimes it produces a male
Hmm.
term here. But with the GPT, you can specify whether you want female translation or a male translation. And how
Okay.
that, now I will show you a very more interesting example over there. So let's take in this example, I created a translation. I want to meet Dr. Selena and what time the doctor comes to the hospital. So here, the name Selena is associated with female
Yes.
automatically by the mission translation system, be it neural or NMT models. It automatically does that. But at the same time, if I replace Selena with Ramani, which is an international name, the system may not have the all intelligence. And also sometimes the name is a gender neutral term. It means this Ramani is a name can be used both for male and female, in which case when I run a translation, you could see that the GPT and classic NMT produces slightly different translation. So here, if you see, the classic NMT took it as a male
Male.
doctor, and so does the GPT models because GPT also understood it's a male, and when you direct the GPT, hey, I need Ramani is a female, and then it produces a right translation considering Ramani is a female doctor. So how this helps in a real life scenario? The customer has different signals outside the translated text, so you can pass those signals as part of the translation request so that you get the right translation. In case of a conversation, if I'm conversing with in a customer support scenario, and when the customer support knows he is conversing with a female client, then he can give that signal as part of the translation request, and he can continue the conversation with the client in a right gender term.
That's smart. And can you scroll down? I want to see what the formal one does here at the bottom. Yeah. It's because in Spanish there isn't this notion of formal
Yep.
speak, and so it looks almost exactly the same. But you have female. But the fact that you can put it in there is pretty cool. What other things do you have here? This is very surprising, by the way.
Yep. And so to see the formal, as you rightly said, that's where the German comes into picture. So the German language has the formal tone and informal tones. That's why, if you see here, it's my pleasure to have joining us for tonight, and you see the difference in translation with formal and informal tones.
Yeah, and I don't know German, but for the eagle-eyed German watchers, hopefully you're seeing that the tonality has been changed, which is cool. So what else? What else you got in terms of cool things?
So those are the very short summary of ability to translate using multiple models, and you can also use GPT-4o as well as part of the same request. So you can produce multiple translations. You can produce translation based on the tone. You can produce translation based on the gender, and so on and so forth.
Oh, I
So
see. So sorry. So effectively, you can because the language at the top says the source language, you can have multiple language targets with the different genders as well as the different tones if you want.
exactly.
That's cool. So tell us about the roadmap.
Yeah, that's cool. So if you see the translation service, currently we have the text translation produces using both classic NMT and Gen AI models, and the document translation piece is in Vox. And we should have this sometime closer to Ignite in your hands, or let us by early next calendar year. That's where we have the document translation API, which internally calls the LLM models based on your choice and produces the translation.
I see. So you're basically feeding it documents and then giving it the same tonality, gender, etc., and then it will translate those documents for you.
Exactly. And you would notice on the roadmap slide on the left side, you see task specific small language model. So,
Okay.
what does it means is we are building a totally new mission translation model, which takes the goodness of classic neural entity as well as the Gen AI large language model. And this task specific model would be highly performant and with higher accuracy than both of them, and that is in works, and you will see us rolling it out in within next 6 months.
Okay, so I jumped the gun because there was I thought that this and this were the same, but this is different. This might be like what do you mean by like more task specific?
The task specific is a if you take a generative AI LLM models, it's not tuned for translation. It does so many other things. So it's overloaded, it's bloated. That's why it's a very large language. So what we do is we take those kind of large language model and tune it to do a specific task called translation. So thereby we can reduce the footprint of the model size as well as the time to perform the task. So that's where you get the performance as well as the accuracy of GenAI model both in one shot.
I see. So it's more specific to the task of translation, a model, a smaller language model to just do translation.
Exactly. Once we have that, then the user will have a choice, not just the classic NMT. They can use Gen AI model as well as the new model what we roll out, both for text translation as well as document translation.
And that's amazing. So here's a question: where can people go to find out more?
Oh, so we have a lot of links. So ak.ms translator documentation that has a complete user documentation where you will see how to use this API and what are the limits and what is the pricing and etc. And aka.ms translator languages that will list you all the languages what is supported by classic NMT as well as the Gen AI models.
Well, Krishna, this has been amazing. Thank you so much. Translation is something that's near and dear to my heart. I don't remember if I told you, but that's literally what I studied in college, computational linguistics. It's one of my
Oh,
favorite things. So thank you so much for being with us, my friend.
thanks, Sid. Nice to meet you again. Thank
And
you.
thank you so much for watching. We're learning all about Azure AI Translator API, the public preview, my friend Krishna. Thank you so much for watching, and hopefully we'll see you next time. Take care.